My name is Max Anthonelli, and this is my poster presentation on the Educators Cooperative, or EdCo. With this poster, I will introduce EdCo and talk about the goals of the organization and what they are doing to achieve them. Next, I'm going to share my experiences working with them over the summer of 2021. Then, I'll talk about how EdCo has been evolving, particularly on the data front, and what that means for professional development moving forward. This cooperative was founded in 2016 by Greg O'Loughlin, who is a teacher, and it's a nonprofit organization run by teachers for teachers. It offers various professional development programs throughout the year with the goal to increase beyond school ties and other teaching outcomes between teachers who seek more collaboration opportunities. Across the year, there are over 100 events that teachers or non-teachers can attend virtually or in person. And this is a picture of Greg O'Loughlin talking to the Metro Nashville Public Schools Board of Education, presenting his work on specifically the Collaborates calls, which he does bi-weekly with all of EdCo. A bunch of pictures from different EdCo events. These, I believe, are from the summer workshop, which is one of EdCo's flagship events, a week-long intensive professional development with a small cohort of teachers between 15 and 30 that focuses on really strengthening the bonds between these teachers who likely have not met before and teach in potentially very different schools, whether it's public, private, charter, and across all grade levels. This approach for EdCo allows individualized support because the teachers are designing the professional development programs and allows them to have the most effective outcomes because research shows, especially the New Teacher Project, has showed that individualized professional development is one of the few characteristics that have been identifiable in effective professional development programs, contrasting them with boilerplate general professional developments that all teachers are forced to go to that have been proven to have minimal, negligible effects. Summer of 2021, when I was brought on as an intern for my practicum at Vanderbilt University's International Education Policy and Management program. And initially my job was to write, design, and monitor and analyze these exploratory and evaluative surveys on the summer workshop event, which I described earlier, and an event called the Collective, which allowed teachers to present to other teachers on a specific learning style or approach that they had developed on their own. And the job of me as the data team member over the summer involved trying to get as much information about what was working with the programs and how teachers were feeling participating in these various professional development initiatives. This figure shows some of the key findings from my analysis from that summer workshop survey that I designed, and I will go over it briefly, one, because I think it's interesting, and two, because I think it gives the people a sense of what conclusions are capable of being drawn by these surveys that we're asking specifically to the participants and not really able to collect any other outside data. So what I was able to find was that each activity was important to the overall experience, meaning that there were many different activities throughout this week-long intensive training with the small cohort of people. And even though every single activity didn't resonate with every single person, each activity did resonate with at least one person, and each one was important for making that week a formative experience for each participant. The second big takeaway is that participants reported increases in each of the EdCo teaching constructs, which are beyond school ties, school leadership, self-efficacy, attitudes towards teaching, and resilience. And a significant number of teachers reported growth in one or more of those areas, but mostly beyond school ties, given that it was a short, intensive program. You're not necessarily going to become incredibly more resilient in a week, but you will definitely be able to connect with other people and meet new people outside of your school, which is the whole intent of the program. Strengthening those beyond school ties is what we like to call those. And that allows teachers to be happier in their jobs, be more effective. And it was really kind of the crux of EdCo's philosophy. The third big takeaway was that the summer workshop ensured the teachers are likely to collaborate with others after their school, kind of a continuation of the Beyond School Ties effect. When we asked teachers whether they would collaborate afterwards, 93% of teachers indicated that they were very likely or likely to collaborate with a teacher outside their school in this past school year, but that was last summer, so in the next school year for them. And this is a great result, and this is kind of, again, what EdCo's trying to do. And that is, again, kind of the information that one is able to ascertain through these qualitative surveys that we ask the participants. And finally, I made some figures summarizing these data, and that was my summer job, and that was my first experience with EdCo, and I think it showed a lot of promise, but the next steps that I was thinking about for where EdCo could grow was really demonstrating its efficacy empirically. And so for the next year, I worked on developing infrastructure for data, which I'll talk about in a second, that will allow EdCo to apply mixed methods beyond just the qualitative methods that they've been using, to be able to more concretely say and measure the impact of their specific brand of professional development interventions. In the beginning of August, my responsibilities with EdCo shifted to more of a higher level role. Rather than analyzing specific surveys, I started to develop what I'm calling a data pipeline to be able to better process longitudinal data from teachers that were either staying with EdCo or not, and being able to quickly summarize at a glance these data with retention numbers and hours and sub-aggregations, which would allow me and EdCo to easily tell who is benefiting most from EdCo and who potentially can be focused on more in the future. So I used all these programs, Survey CTO to do the data collection, Stata to do some of the data analysis, MongoDB to collect and store the data in a kind of data warehouse, and Tableau I didn't use explicitly, but I think that EdCo will use it in the future to do data visualization for their website, summarizing whichever interesting information they can ascertain from the database on their website. I think I might have said that. So I took a screenshot of what currently the database can do now after several months of development. And you can see that for the year 2021, there are 3,826 total hours of professional development offered, and that means the number of teachers times the number of events they attended times the hours of each event. And you can see this is an example of how the data is stored. This is Greg O'Loughlin, our creator, and the hours for this anti-racist panel event that occurred on January 30th, 30th, 2021 was 2.5 hours. So we have 2,700 different events and people and all those entered, as well as all the survey data currently in the database. But what we're hoping to do is build up more retention data and more. This has allowed us to ask more targeted questions about who is staying, who is leaving the teaching profession, how much are they engaging with EdCo, and allowing us eventually to be able to measure some sort of treatment effect of EdCo and empirically say whether there is a causal impact on teacher or student outcomes. Huge constraint has been data so far, but with these new processes in place, we're looking to expand and move beyond. This is another figure showing just more qualitative data, talking about how people are reporting increases in different constructs, but it's less actionable potentially for other people trying to employ a similar approach that EdCo is doing in other places around the world. I have learned so much working with EdCo, and I want to thank my professors at Vanderbilt University for giving me the opportunity to work with them. This presentation represents one of the first steps in a marathon of bringing effective PD to schools around the world, and I hope that, as the capacity to measure EdCo's impact grows, so does its scale and ability to change education if the results from our initial qualitative data translate into causal impacts on teacher and student outcomes. Thank you.